What I think is 90% of Christians who are fornicating do not want, okay? They just found themselves in
But
it.
why don't we look at it as maybe this number one is a sin?
Yeah.
So it is an act of the flesh that maybe number one.
Yeah.
It's also about your relationship with God.
Okay.
Because I think like when we are putting it like, you know, the way previously you're saying that, oh, there needs to be maybe condoms in the washrooms, you know, so that those who maybe want to fornicate, they would feel like, you know, there's a license for sin. So let's look at it as a sin. And as much as we are human beings, we are weak, but at least we can strive to please God.
All right.
So as much as
Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today I still have my best friends of all time, Mademoiselle Olga. How are you?
hey,
Monsieur Steve, how are you?
I'm fine.
And your host Cynthia. So today we are going to talk about a taboo that many people do not want to talk about. So you see, when I started this channel, my mind was I want to make a church, a small church. This is just a small church that talks about some of the things that people are not talking about in church, okay? And you know, like I have devotions, I have what there are people in church who are, you know, they just go to church and you're there at the back telling stories. The pastor does not have a close, you know, touch with the you know, faithfuls, such that you just go to church and you didn't even hear what the pastor was preaching. So you can still come to Cynthia's Legacy and, you know, you open up a devotion about forgiveness and you listen to it, and so when you go to church you just pick two points from the pastor and you feel complete, okay? So today we are going to talk about a taboo that your pastor is not talking about, and that is sex. We are going to handle different things about sex that your pastor does not talk about, okay? So the first question is, we all know what sex is, we don't need to define it, okay?
Yes.
But sex is what happens in secret when a man and a woman are alone, okay? So when you see a man and a woman are together in a closed room, just know there is sex happening.
not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee, bro.
Okay, so that was a joke though, but we all know what sex is, okay? So what was the first time you heard about sex, Mademoiselle, or you learned about sex, okay?
I think I was in primary school. Yes. I think I was in primary school, and definitely it was just, you know, students, you know. Yes.
You learned from school?
Yes. No, I mean like, yeah, from school, but
are you able to remember the instance?
Students. Well, it used to have a name when kids were young. What, tabia mbaya? Yes.
Like bad manners.
Bad manners. Yes. Yeah. So you would get like such like reports like students going to report
that
so and so did bad manners. Yeah.
But what was the first time you experienced, or you have never experienced, like seen, like witnessed?
See, yeah, that's a tough question. What do you mean?
What was the first time you learned about or heard about sex?
I think when I was young and back in primary, lower primary, back in specific. Yes. Yes.
So you also learned from your fellow pupils in school?
Yes.
Okay. So me, I learned it from my grandma before I started school. When I was very young, my grandma will tell me not to sit on my ankles. She will tell me, you know, don't sit on your ankles because you are a girl. So I loved my ankles. I was like, why is it that I can't sit on my ankle and, you know, rub myself on my ankle and kiss my ankle? What is wrong with that? And then she told me my ankle can make me pregnant, and I have a kid and I'm young. Then I wanted to know, how can I have a kid? So she introduced me to sex before maybe I was 6 years old, before I went to school. So when I would hear the bad manners and all that, I actually knew the act, what is it. Yeah. And the first time I witnessed sex is when one of our workers was in love with the Shamba boy was in love with the lady who works in the house. So, you know, once you've been introduced and you know what is it, you can obviously connect the dots. The dots, when you see people together and they get into a room, you can and when they live there, you can connect. These people must be doing what my grandmother described. So when I was in primary, I had known what sex is. Yeah.
Good
So
of
that's
you.
how I was introduced to sex.
Good of you, Kato your grandma.
Yeah, so maybe you guys should say, why is it that, you know, did your mother talk to you about sex?
Well, I think
And at what age?
not directly, not directly, but I think my menses started early, in a way that, okay, I think at the time when even me, I didn't know, yeah. So I remember when they started, and I ran to my mom, and I'm like, okay, so I don't know what's happening to me. Then the first thing she told me, now you need to be very careful not to play around with men. And she's like, you know, it's also girls who, okay, in Swahili they say wanajua mengi, you know, like, you know, men, you know, men, you play around with men. They're the ones who get their periods early.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what is she talking about? Because I don't even know what's happening to me. So then she's like, yeah, so now at this point in time, you can't be playing around with men, because otherwise you will become pregnant and all that. So then I think now from that time, now from her now, I could now, you know, sort of connect.
So you knew like about sex completely when you got your menses?
Maybe let's say the how would I put it, the implications, maybe. The implications.
Okay. Because for me, my grandma told me about my menses, I think too early, even before I started school, such that, so the bad thing that happened is when I got my menses, I hid. I didn't tell people, because my grandma told me once I get them, I'm now of age, and I still wanted to be a child, so I didn't want to tell anybody that I've come. So I used certain things to, you know, to just, you know, as parts. You see, so that I don't tell my parents.
Oh,
imagine.
Okay.
And I remember even one time when I was in high school, my mom came to visit me, and she came with pads, and I told her I've not started using them, and I was actually using them.
Oh wow.
Imagine. So I would wait until we go for an outing, then I buy pads and use in secret, so that my parents doesn't know that I'm now a big girl. Okay, Steve, so did your parents talk to you about sex?
No.
So why are African parents not talking to their children about sex? Why are they not open to talk to their children about sex? And you know, their parents who, especially who live in small houses, even when you're having sex with your husband, your children can relate what you're doing. So why are you not talking about it?
I think it's that old culture of the way you said when you're talking about tabia mbaya, of which sex is not tabia mbaya. It's only, it can only be a tabia mbaya when you do it at the wrong time. So our parents are still on that old culture and that old notion of tabia mbaya. Instead of telling them this thing is good, but at a certain point of life, not when you are young. So that's the reason why, and then they are like ashamed of it. They are ashamed of the act. So that's what they talk about it. Because then I don't know how to put it, but their parents are just ashamed of talking it frankly. What's said.
They're embarrassed. It is going to be an awkward moment.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think going forward, parents who are now of our age should now be open to talk to their children openly about this issue. They don't hide it. There's a friend of mine who is actually telling me that she doesn't call things with, you know, those names, cliche names. She actually told her daughter that, you know, make sure you clean your vagina. Imagine. So I was like, when I went to visit her, I was helping her wash this baby, and she was like, you have not cleaned my vagina. And I was like, what are you saying? Who told you that? So that is how the mother has brought her up, to tell her everything just the way they are. So I think parents should get to that point of telling children, because they are actually being introduced to this thing early. I'm so happy that none of us have said they were introduced to sex through pornography, but right now children are being introduced to sex through pornography. True. So I think the next question we need to answer is, what's your opinion on waiting till marriage?
Okay. Yes.
No. We start with
it's a good thing.
Okay.
It's a good thing, the biblical way. And I mean, it comes with its benefits. So
Yeah.
if that's the way, actually, that's the way. So it's a good thing.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good thing. That's the will of God for any Christian out there. Yes.
Okay.
But if you don't find, maybe you sleep, just repent and go back to God. But what God would have wanted is that it's, the things you wait until marriage.
Okay.
Yes.
Steve, what's your opinion on waiting till marriage? Because there are few people who, when they find that they have fornicated, they even leave the church because they feel like, no, God cannot listen to me right now in this state. No, because the women who actually even lose their self-esteem. They grow up feeling lesser because I've been married and I'm not a virgin. Okay, yeah, and there are men who actually glorify the fact that women who are not virgins are not proper women. So what's your opinion as a man on waiting till marriage? And you talk on behalf of men also.
Good things don't come easy. That answers your question. Waiting is good. Yes. So if you want something good, and marriage is good. But if everything is good when you take time preparing, preparation is very important. And that's why even Christ is giving us time to prepare. Otherwise, we could have gone to heaven the other day. But He needs us to prepare because good things require preparation. Marriage is a good thing because God so created marriage, and so it requires preparation. So waiting, it's good to wait on God. Yes.
I wish we got someone who is married, a lady and a man, to confirm to us some of the benefits of waiting till marriage. Do you think you can relate?
Yeah, definitely. Number one, you're in the place where, number one, I think the huge, or rather the biggest satisfaction is that, you have done things the way God ordained them. And then secondly, it has spared you of, imagine if you had sex with somebody that you did not end up with.
It has spared you of the baggage, sexual baggage.
Exactly. And then also by fact that this is a covenant. So I mean, it's not just like, something that you're doing casually. These are covenants you're getting into. And actually blood covenants, soul ties. By the time maybe you do that with several men outside there, you exactly just the way you said it, the baggage. So these are covenants you form. If you're to be free later on in your life, you have to break them, repent and break those covenants. So I think maybe those could be the benefits, but there are many definitely.
Steve, what do you think is the benefit of waiting till marriage?
Of course. When you wait, I think you when you take time, you get what you really want. Like when you take time, it's like the characters that you want, they come true. Because when you rush, nowadays too. Okay, for me personally, I think it's too hard to understand women, and so I might need time to understand women well. So that if you have weakness, I know that weakness I'm able to tolerate.
There are men who say that you cannot know a woman unless you have a sexual relationship with them.
No.
So they are dating so that they know the best.
So what is okay? I don't know that person. I don't know whether it's testing sex. I don't know.
So they test like you before you drive a car. You must test it.
No. Me, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the character. Because sijui niseme sex you can get anywhere, on the street, wherever. But this is a character that I'm going to live with in the same house, in the same home. So me, I'm not talking about. I don't know even if there is even test of sex. I don't know.
And I think I can to bring to add some taste to you. I think what you're trying to say is once you have sex with someone, you're emotionally attached, and it can even block your eyes from seeing some of their weaknesses.
Exactly.
Okay. So you're done? I think what I can say is all kind of sins are the same, okay? God knows, when God sees us, He sees that we are all the same. Every kind of sin is the same, okay? But what they don't tell you is that baggage is different. Whatever baggage Steve is carrying, is not the same baggage I'm carrying. Okay? So you can decide to have sex before marriage. That's okay. If you decide to stay, you know, virgin till marriage, don't do it for someone. Don't do it for a man. Don't do it for a woman. Because the person you will be getting married to that didn't do what you've done. Okay? They didn't keep themselves to that point. Okay? So don't do it for them. Do it for yourself, for your own satisfaction. Because there are people who have waited till marriage only to find someone with, you know, they're rough with their sex, and the way you're introduced to sex is very bad that you hate it and it's so painful and you don't want it completely. There are people who are, you know, just because you are virgin and you found someone who's very violent and, you know, you just decided to divorce. Okay? So it doesn't mean it is all flowers when you wait. Okay? So make sure when you're waiting, it is for your own satisfaction. So that on your honeymoon, you're like, I did it for myself. Don't do it for someone, so that when you get there, you start blaming your wife or your husband. You know, I kept myself for you. You know, don't keep yourself for them because they're not doing what you're doing. Okay? All right. So let's go to the last point where we want to, you know, get to know why is the church not talking about sex and it is happening. Okay? So I want to say something that I said before we started this video, and Mademoiselle and Monsieur Steve, you know, they disagreed with me. They wanted to say something, and I was like, you know what, let's start this video so that you say it in the video. So this is what I was saying. Every time when pastors talk about sex, they talk about sex in the context of marriage, because that is what the Bible expects of us. Okay? However, people are having sex before marriage. So according to me, times have changed. There's no reason of pretending that it is not happening. People need to move with time. There should be sex education in church, so that as a child is going to Sunday school, there's a teacher for sex education who comes to teach them about sex, so that they're not taught with the world. If the world is teaching them, even the church needs to teach them. The world is moving pretty fast. The church needs to move pretty fast, even faster than the world. Okay? So according to me, sex education should be taught, and people should not behave like sex is only happening in the context of marriage. And I was saying a very controversial thing, that right now, even in our washrooms in church, we should have a place for condoms and, you know. Alright, so let's see what you guys have to say. Why is the church not talking about sex and it is happening?
Okay, so number one, we need to ask ourselves, what age groups are we dealing with?
Okay.
Because as you have said that maybe in Sunday school, they should also be taught about sex education. But you know, is it age appropriate? Because I think those are things also that you know, you may think that you're helping, but you're just going to evoke and open their minds to other wrong things. You make them curious.
Okay.
Yeah. You make them curious, and now they want to
experiment.
So I think the first thing should be probably the age. The age. In my view, I think there's a bit of maybe when they reach adolescence, where they are also, because in school also as they learn about biology, they are taught about the sexual parts and, you know, adolescence and all that comes with it. So maybe that would be the right age to start teaching about it. So I think maybe the church is probably maybe just assuming that you know, they will learn. They will learn either way, and so they shy away from it. But I also think maybe in some other cases also, there's also just thinking that maybe it may not be age appropriate for our kids.
And even if it's not for kids, we need to have conferences like the one was so, you know, hilarious, of the 𝐶𝐴 pastor. We need to have conferences in church where people talk about sex, and, you know, women have a section, and, you know, men have a place, you know, and people are taught about, you know, sex, you know, how you clean, how you do it, and
okay,
you know,
Cynthia,
if you're single, don't do it.
To a huge extent, I think like things like sex, I think those are okay. I don't know, it's just my opinion. I sort of feel like those are things that people cannot teach you that much. It's the two of you.
Oh, really?
Because people also, yes, me, I think it's like mostly the two of you. So even if you hold a conference and maybe somebody is going through some problems, erectile dysfunction, are you helping them?
Or should you say that it should come
Naturally, yeah, exactly. That's for me. That's how I sort of, because let's say, yeah, I think maybe that's how it should be.
Okay.
It's something that will, the very same way, maybe when you're born as a child, there are things that nobody teaches you how to do, but you learn them by default.
And that is when you end up learning the wrong thing.
It's not a must.
That is when you end up learning the wrong thing, because if you have not been taught this is sex, okay, according to our Bible, sex is for men and women, and this is how they do it, and it starts at this point. If you don't tell me all these things, then I will just love another lady, and homosexuality arises.
No,
and you start preaching about homosexuality is bad, but this is how I was introduced to sex.
We are looking at it from the angle of people who are born again.
Okay.
Now, who created that sex? It's God.
Yes.
For what reason?
Yeah.
Now, do you think if you've been serving Him faithfully, He will fail to teach you on that? If you see the animals outside here, they're able to do it. Who taught them?
So this is
who taught them? Who taught them? Okay. Tell me.
So my dear,
we see dogs out here. We see donkeys. We see even chicken doing their things outside there. Who taught them? Now that you want people to teach you, who taught them?
Okay, they learned it from other donkeys. Yes, because I also learned sex from other people. If I didn't see sex completely, we'll just get to honeymoon and sit down and go and order food and eat.
I think the
because
way
I don't know what we're going
I
to
think
do.
the way God created it, it's God who put in those feelings. So I think somehow it will just work. And also we've had people who also say that as they were growing and they are married, they get to learn each other. They get to learn each other.
Yeah.
Even those people who are outside there in the world, they experiment. This works, this doesn't.
So what you people don't know is that during counseling, there is partial sex education. So they only see it is important to tell you when you're getting married at a point that you have too much baggage. The counseling doesn't help you a bit. Okay? So what about if they started it early?
Then these people would want to experiment early.
So what
I think
Olga is saying
the key
is
thing for me,
the church is not teaching about sex
timing,
because number
timing.
one, timing.
Yes, let's
They
look
think
at the timing.
they think you will learn sex on your own because it is naturally it was created by God and God will teach you.
Exactly.
And they also feel like it's not appropriate to talk about it.
Yeah, that's why I'm basing it on timing. Time is everything. Like, at what age are you teaching them? Yeah, at what age are you going to teach them? Because even for the premarital counseling, I think from day one, they are not going to be teaching you about sex.
Okay.
Probably when you're about to get married, where things maybe have now been confirmed and everything, then now they can bring in those issues of sex and all that. So towards the end, I think so. I'm not so sure. I've never been through marriage counseling.
So you don't agree that the church should have condoms and
that is wrong.
And provide family planning programs
for who?
No.
Let's Cynthia.
For the fornicators. What are you doing for the fornicators?
So are you encouraging fornication?
No, you're helping them.
No.
The church
to do it.
Should help them.
Hey, Cynthia, whose agenda are you promoting?
I think there is a matter of grouping.
Okay.
Yes.
If you have to talk about sex, talk to sex about people who are about to get married or people who are in marriage. There are people in marriage.
What are you doing for those that are doing? And they're not married.
Let me tell you. First of all, those who are doing it and they're not married, you tell them it is wrong.
It is wrong and they need to repent.
But they have done it.
It's okay.
Yes,
they are doing it. How can they get out of it?
They need to repent first of all.
To get out of it. Just, okay, as a Christian, just pray and sacrifice this body. This body is when how can I say it? Just sacrifice this body. And remove your focus from it. Because once you focus on it and then you do it. If I think about sex the day or before I sleep, I think about sex, definitely I will want to call someone that go out and do that sex. So the thing is, sacrifice this body and pray, because first of all, you have been taught, you have read the Bible, you know it is wrong before marriage, so don't do it. And if pastor has to talk about sex, talk to people who are married, or people who are about to get married. I know there are people who are having issues, and my friend posed to me this question, and I wish she was supposed to be in this meeting. She asked me a question: do you think road testing is okay before marriage? Then I said it's not okay. Then she gave me a scenario. There's a friend, there are two friends who got married. Then the man is not functioning, completely not functioning. So this lady, she's in a problem. She's in a marriage. But now the man is not there. I think those who are okay. The man is the man.
Now that Moses said we can teach ourselves. We can teach ourselves what Steve is saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to answer that question. But what I would say is just a part of honesty. If you know that really I don't have feelings completely, and I think
how will you know you don't have feelings in the first place?
No, naturally.
That is why sex education should be taught.
Let me talk like a man.
Okay. And if you don't teach me, who will I go to?
Let him talk.
Okay.
Let me talk now. Not even like a born again. Let me talk like a man.
Okay, man.
As a man, there's that feeling naturally that kuna that, how do I call it? There's just that natural feeling that yes, sex should be there.
Okay.
In your feelings.
Okay.
So if you don't get such urge, and having that urge does not mean that you are a sinner. The body is created to be like that.
Okay.
So if you really completely know that, hey, I don't have that urge to have sex. Yes, we have it, but you control it. So if you don't have, just be open and tell someone, hey, me this thing. So when you get to the marriage, someone doesn't get disappointed. Even there are ladies who know themselves, they don't have the urge. These things we know them. We learned them in school.
But you know what, Steve? Me, I have my best friend who tells me before he had sex for the first time in campus, he has never, he never used to erect. So he was not sure whether he had feelings. So when he got to campus, there's this lady who loved him so much, and would come around, and finally it got to a day where they were in a compromised state, and it was like sex has to happen, and his own worry was like, will this it managed to at the end of the day, but he was not aware it will stand. Why? Because nobody told him there are others that delay, and it is okay. So that is why sex education should happen in church.
But I'm also wondering, okay, you people, okay, just the way you're saying it, okay, because I also want to feel like, okay, I think if you've prayed about marriage and all that, then you've decided to go by faith. So just surrender to God also, because as much as you're saying now, we can't blame that man, because I think it's not his fault. Yeah, it's not his fault. Yeah. And I think maybe also one of the reasons as you're getting married, also ask yourself, are you going there for sex only? Because things happen in life. Life happens. What if this guy were to get an accident and get paralyzed? No, I'm just asking, what if he gets an accident and is paralyzed? So that's a done deal. Or even to the lady, something happens. Is it still going to be for better, for worse?
But I think in marriage, sex also matters anyway. So
yes, but I've also just looked at it from that. Sometimes I think when we are walking out here perfectly in life, we think maybe it's our right. Yeah. We deserve it. Yeah. But what if one day something happens? There's an accident, or somebody's paralyzed. What happens? Will that marriage end? Yeah. Okay.
Tough question.
That's a tough question. Yeah. So what you're trying to say is that we should be, tolerant of our fellow, our partners. Yeah. All right. And you can't be tolerant.
Maybe as they look for
you've waited. If you, for example, if you are a virgin, you've been looking forward to this sex. How can you be tolerant and now your body is willing? How can you be tolerant? So that is why there should be sex education. so that these are the people who can help us. You see, now the avenues to go looking for help because you are told.
Okay,
I don't have a
Because
problem
there are
with the
people-
education,
there-
Cynthia.
just
The
a
only
minute.
thing, as I've said, is the timing. You
the
cannot
target.
the target, timing, and all that.
Now my problem is not even people who are of age, and people who are of age are actually messing up because the foundation was wrong. Okay, so I'm saying nowadays children who are 6 years old or 7 years old are watching pornography. Those children, they go to church and they're just being told pornography is bad. How is it bad? What makes it bad?
Cynthia,
What can I do not to do it?
I
So
strongly
there should be
believe
an occasion where you're like, I know the pastor stands up and say, I know there are people who are having sex before marriage here, and I know there are people who are watching pornography and are addicted to it. So today we have someone who is going to speak to us about these things. Yeah.
But
okay,
now,
but if you train your children properly, honestly speaking, I don't know. If we really
But,
we are also banking on the Holy Spirit.
so yeah.
But the Holy Spirit
Because,
only
yeah,
gives supernatural
those
ideas, but the
children-
actions are done by human beings. Okay.
Those children, as young as they can be, I mean, I don't know. Anyway. Thanks.
Okay, so if the pastor announces today that there will be a guy coming to talk about maybe everything to do with sex on Saturday in church, and you're all invited, entry is free, will you come?
If I have the time, for me that would not be a priority.
Okay.
Yes. So if I have the time, yes.
Steve will do.
But if it would not be a priority for me.
No, for this period or this stage, I don't think I'm interested to know what is it all about. Yeah, but when, by the way, if I'm in an engagement period,
Yeah.
I will definitely come for that class.
Okay.
Yes, when I'm ready now I know in the next 1 month or the next 6 months I'm getting married and I already have my partner. I would go for, of course I would look for sex classes.
Okay.
Yes.
So all of you do not have regard for the fornicators.
No, they should stop it.
Me, I love them.
Yeah. You love them,
but
you don't think they need a voice. They need, or the people who are their voices are only people on the internet. They have several voices. If they only had a voice in church, someone who is born again, who is talking about sex before marriage, what to do, what not to do, this and this, in church. Yeah.
But-
the same
but-
way
but
people in church out here have a time for talking about tithe. Before the pastor conclude, before it is time for tithe, there's a specific pastor for for tithe who is coming to preach about tithe. So if there's a group of pastors who are counselors, who they also invite, even doctors, because as it is right now, it is like this is still going on. It is going to go on, that the church can talk about it. If you need help, you go to the hospital. Nowadays, even the doctors have very high fees, 2,000 shillings, 1,000. There are the hospitals like Nairobi Hospital, 5,000 shillings to speak to a doctor. Okay, so here I am. I have fornicated. I have a disease. There's something wrong with my private part. I have to go and pay 5,000 to speak to a doctor. What if I will, find a doctor in church who offers these services for free? It is on Sunday. There's a doctor seated there. The fornicators can just go and talk to the pastor. You know what? I've been having some problem with this and this. Yeah, and they advise you and they tell you, you go when you go to the doctor, now this is your problem. You go and do this and this. And the church offers that because the church is into business right now. Why can't you even include that business?
But okay, I don't like the way you're putting it. Fornicators would have a voice. Fornicators would have a place where they can go to for help. I don't like the way you're putting it because you're sort of like, it feels like you're encouraging this.
I'm not encouraging. What I'm looking at is, I'm looking at people who are what I think is 90% of Christians who are fornicating do not want Okay, they just found themselves in
But
it.
why don't we look at it as maybe this number one is a sin?
Yeah.
So it is an act of the flesh that
Yeah.
maybe number one.
Yeah.
It's also about your relationship with God.
Okay.
Because I think like when we are putting it like, you know, the way previously you're saying that, oh, there needs to be maybe condoms in the washrooms, you know, so that those who maybe want to fornicate, they would feel like, you know, there's a license for sin. So
Yeah.
let's look at it as a sin.
Yeah.
And as much as we are human beings,
Yeah.
we are weak,
Yeah.
but at least we can strive to
Okay.
please God.
All right.
So as much as even you're in a fornicator, honestly, and there are condoms in the washroom,
Yeah.
you know,
So I
you
think-
can do it outside there, but at least when you come to the house of God, have some decency at least.
Okay. So as it is right now, it seems this is going to, you know, this is the norm.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are in church and you are a fornicator, you have no room, you have no place in church. Okay, because the church is not there for you. The only thing they will tell you is fornicating is wrong, but they will not stand with you when you want to get out of it.
They will, Cynthia. They will.
Maybe I spoke
Yeah.
of sacrificing this flesh.
Mhm.
This flesh, if you no, go fast 3 days and tell me whether you want to have sex.
There are people who can't even fast.
No, but
But they need okay.
coach them.
Yes, exactly.
Just
Yeah.
coach them how to do it.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
So
know
it's-
okay.
what
if
kind
we
of relationship
if
do
we
they have
had,
with God?
If
Yes.
we had that freedom of speaking about sex in church, there are a group of pastors that are known. If you go to this pastor, they will not talk about you. They will not judge you.
I
You know,
think some of them are there.
Yeah, but it is not, you know, like very clear. It is not defined that, you know what, there's a in our church we have pastors who talk about everything concerning sex and family and marriage. So if I am a young child and I just found myself in sex, then I don't have to fear and go and tell my parent if I will feel, I will feel awkward with my parent. I will just go to church and whisper to the pastor who talks about it and say, I just found myself having sex and now I feel like I just want to go back for it again. What can I do? Okay? Because, at that point, when you've just done it, if you have someone to go to in church, then there's no way you will go outside, because now you feel like, I've done it, but now I don't even belong here. Let me just go and be of the world. Okay? And then you get to a point now you're full of baggage. You can't even come back. Even if you come back, you can't be helped, because the baggage you've collected for yourself cannot be cleared in a day. They can't be, Yeah, so that is what I feel. And I love the fact that you guys have said, you have said a yes with a but. There should be sex education in church, well-defined group of pastors who talk to everyone, people of every group, if you're at whatever age you are, without judging. And they talk to people about sex and people can go to them, because there are people who fear going to the hospitals. The hospitals have high fees. And the world everywhere, people are advocating, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, I had sex for 1,000 times, sex is sweet, sex is good. And here you come to church and the information is so vague. You're only told, do not have sex, it is wrong. But now I'm having it, what can I do? Okay? So the pastor should be aware there are people who are unmarried and are not having sex, and they should be catered for. Yes. So as much as they consider age, but they should be, as the same way they are pastors, counselors. Those counselors should have a longer now, their JD should be bigger. They not only cater for people who are six months into wedding and marriages, but they should also be open and tell people, anybody who has an issue with fornication and everything concerning sex, you have a disease and in your private part, whatever it is, come to us for free. Okay? And that group is made of pastors who are also doctors and nurses. Okay? Yeah.
Okay, I got your point.
Yes, agreed.
No, don't agree. If you get my point.
Yeah, I get your
yeah,
point.
Yeah.
But not like now preaching it in the pulpit.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is what I meant. The same way we have conferences when we are going to, pastors' conference, youth conference, we need to have conferences like there's that group of pastors that talks about marriage and sex and all that have a conference, okay, where someone is coming to talk about even homosexuality, because homosexuality is a taboo. People are not talking about it, but there are even fathers who are molesting their sons. You see, so if you bring someone who can talk about it and people come and listen, you don't tell people if you are an homosexual come. No, you just tell people there will be a conference in church. Someone who is coming, like a doctor will come to talk about homosexuality, or someone who has recovered from homosexuality is coming to talk to us. So if you're interested, come. Okay?
Yeah.
And they just come and they're talked to and all that. So the church should not shy away from talking about sex and having, events for, awareness about concerning sex, because people are doing it. It is not only happening in marriage, it is happening also among the single people. We agree? So they have agreed with me. So if you're there and you've agreed with me, the video has become so dark, yeah? If you're there and you've agreed with me, please leave a comment on the comment section below. And if you are a pastor, then this is an eye-opening, that you need to have groups of pastors who are doctors. Just go to church on Sunday and announce it and say, it is not like you are encouraging people to have sex, but you're also catering for them. Because one thing that I know is the creation that God created. Do not, the body is weak, but it is not like they love sin, because even Paul cries that anytime I try to do good, it is only the bad that I do. So we should not judge the sinners and put them in a group, just abandon them to cater for themselves. The church should cater for them, because when they go to the world, they are encouraged to drink. They are encouraged to have boyfriends and girlfriends. In fact, a parent who is not born again will ask, I've never seen you with a girlfriend, Steve, you see? Yeah, so the church should be there to cater for such kind of a child who the mother thinks it is proper to have a boyfriend and, proper to have sex with your boyfriend. The church should be there to catch you before you get into it. Yeah, so we need to have the counselors in church who talk to people who are almost getting married. You need to open up your JD and cater for everybody in church who are having issues with sex, because sex is not happening only in the context of marriage as it is in the Bible. Times have changed, the evil have become more, and the church need to come in for everyone, everybody in every category. We need to get away from the point where we judge people. Yeah, we just judge you because you fell into sexual sin. Now they're like, don't associate with Olga, you will fall. No, we need to leave that. If Olga fell, then that same pastor who's in that group should, welcome Olga with a hug and tell her that, what? It doesn't matter whether you have fallen into sexual sin. You can still stand again. Yes, it is possible to repent, and God can still restore your virginity. You can still become spiritual virgin, and you can still be married the right way. You can still have a family. It doesn't matter whether you are a fornicator. God can still receive you. You see? So the church can only do that when you get into the nitty-gritty of whatever is happening right now. There's sexual immorality, fornication. There is homosexuality, that children have, small boys are having sex together, small girls are having sex together. Parents are so busy taking children to boarding school at a very young age, and then children are being introduced to homosexuality at a very young age. I was introduced to homosexuality as a young girl in a girls' school. You see, and it is only because my grandma told me that is happening. So when I saw it, I even told the teacher, I don't want to sleep in that bed because there are people around me who are having sex in the night. You see, and the teacher removed me. It is because I was told it is bad. And if there are people who are growing up and there is no grandmother for them, the parents are shy, then it is only the church that can come in, because the doctors are expensive. When the church has failed, it is only the doctor who can cure, but the doctors are expensive. The church is free, because the church should be free. Even those who are, there are people who have those, segments in church, but the people are paying for. They should stop that, so that if the church it should only be the safe place for everyone. Yeah, I can talk and talk forever, so we need to finish this at this point. Thank you for listening to us. If you have another contrary idea, please leave it on the comment section below. Let us hear what you have to say. Okay, what do we say?
Faith comes by, hearing the word of God. Hearing comes by, listening to the word of God. I pray you get faith the size of a mustard seed.